Welcome to London. I've lived on and off in the city for many years, and in this video I'm going to share all of my top travel tips for visiting the UK capital you should know before you go. So let's begin the video. The first thing to note is that London is really big. It's home to 9 million people and covers an area of 1,500 square kilometres. But because we're in the UK, they use miles, and it's 600 of those. The next thing to know is that you shouldn't confuse the City of London with London as a whole. The City of London covers the area of just 1 square mile, and it's now home to Roman ruins, huge financial skyscrapers, and some bombed out churches. Big Ben isn't the name of the tower, but it's actually the name of the bell inside the tower. When you come to London, you'll see a lot of iconic sites, but the important thing is not to confuse one for the other. Behind me is a Tower Bridge, and that is probably the most famous bridge in all of London, and it's emblematic of the city as a whole. However, there's a story that goes that in the 1970s, the old London Bridge, which is further down the Thames, was sold to an American man who lived in Arizona. He actually had the entirety of the bridge shipped to his home in Arizona and rebuilt it piece by piece. The story goes that originally he thought he was buying Tower Bridge, but he was actually buying London Bridge. Now his grandson says that that's actually false and this is just a popular rumour, but nevertheless, make sure you know what you're actually going to see when you book tickets. The River Thames runs right through the heart of London, essentially cutting it into 2 parts, north and south. It's also widely regarded to be one of the cleanest rivers running through a big city in the world, but I still wouldn't go swimming or paddling in it because it's still quite dirty. When the tide is out, there's a really popular activity here called mudlarking, and that's where people essentially go alongside the Thames foreshore and look for different treasures that have been lost to the annals of time and the river. Unfortunately, for this activity, you do need a permit, so don't do it unless you manage to get one before you come to London. When booking accommodation, you'll want to make sure you get something quite central. There are 6 main transportation zones, but I recommend booking something in zone 1 or 2 so that you're never too far away from a tube station or many of the main attractions. Because it's a capital city, there's no real bad time to visit London. But with that being said, there are definitely seasons that are better than others. For example, if you visit during the winter, you'll find that it can feel very chilly outside because of the high humidity levels. Similarly, the summer can feel very hot, again, because of the humidity. So I would personally say that the best times to visit are the shoulder seasons, which are spring and autumn. This way you'll also get lower prices for the hotels, and you'll also find the beautiful cherry blossoms in the spring and the autumn leaves in the fall. Furthermore, if you visit during school holidays, for example in July and August, the prices are so expensive and it can be hard to get tickets to many of the attractions because it's so busy around. If it's your first time visiting London, then I definitely recommend dedicating 3 to 4 days to exploring the city. If you only have 1 or 2 days, then you probably won't have enough time to explore all of the monuments and attractions that you want to see. Giving yourself extra time to explore will also allow you time to take day trips from the city. When you're coming to packing, there are a few things I suggest. The first of these is a universal power adapter. The UK uses different plugs to most of the rest of the world. As such, I really recommend taking a universal adapter because this way you can use it in several European countries afterwards. It's also worth noting that the voltage is probably different than what you have back at home. As a result, your electronics probably won't work, such as your hairdryer, so do check this before trying to use them here, as you might end up with a nasty surprise if you don't. If I could give you just one safety tip when you're packing to come to London, it would be to bring some sort of crossbody bag and make sure that it zips and closes and perhaps even has a lock, because pickpocketing is very common, especially on places like the Tube when it can get very crowded. The other thing to be increasingly aware of is the unfortunate incidents of phone snatching. That's when you're walking on the pavement, just looking at your phone, and someone drives up behind you or cycles up behind you and snatches your phone, and they're gone forever. So do be wary of that too. Obviously, we're pretty lucky with the weather today, but London does have over 100 days of rain per year, and so it's a really good idea to pack an umbrella or a really good rain jacket, and on that note, some shoes which are also quite waterproof. Bring a reusable water bottle to use on your trip. There are actually hundreds of businesses across London which will fill your water bottle up for free. You can actually check them out on refill.org.uk. Alternatively, any restaurant you're dining at, you can also ask them to fill up your water bottle. The UK uses the Great British Pound, but don't worry about bringing too much cash with you, as most places in London are cashless. If you do need to take cash out, then ATMs are readily available across the city. Just make sure that you have a bank card which doesn't charge too many exchange fees when you're withdrawing your money. Tipping is increasingly common in London restaurants, with between 10 and 15% being standard and 12.5% being the most common added charge. This is classed as optional and discretionary, but unfortunately it's already added to the bill before you pay, and so it can be a bit awkward to ask to have it removed, and so I usually don't. It's quite British not to, but if you have particularly bad service, you can ask for them to remove that charge. As of 2025, many nationalities will require an ETA, which is an electronic travel authorization, in order to enter the UK. Typically, it only takes a few minutes and several pounds to apply, but you should do that in advance of your trip in case it takes a little bit longer. The fastest way to get around is usually by taking the Underground, which Londoners call the Tube. On the Tube, you can usually use contactless card at the turnstiles, but be wary because at some of the airports you're not allowed to do this. The Tube is one of the easiest underground transportations in the world to use thanks to this colour code. London's transportation system is absolutely enormous and can often feel as if you're walking for miles on miles within the station themselves. If you stick between zones 1 and 2, then there's a daily cap of £10, so you won't have to pay more than this if you're travelling just between these zones. Uber and black cabs are often readily available, but they can often be slower than just getting on the Underground because traffic in London can be quite bad. They're also obviously the pricier option. If there's one transportation method that you should be particularly wary of, it's rickshaw drivers. They're often found around tourist hotspots like outside Selfridges and behind me on Westminster Bridge. Essentially, anyone can buy a pedicab and start driving people around, which means that extortionate charges can be sometimes charged to customers. There are even stories of people being charged extortionate amounts like £1,000 for a 10-minute ride. So if you do decide to take one of these, then be sure to check in advance with the driver the agreed price. A really, really affordable way to get around for not very much money is to take a red bus. The double-decker buses are often quite good for sightseeing, especially the routes 11 and 24. You can, of course, take one of the more expensive special tourist buses, but to be honest, it's not really worth it when the red buses have such good views over many of the most important monuments. One of the best ways to work out which route to take is to use Citymapper, and another great option is actually to download Google Maps offline, because in a lot of places, including in Covent Garden, signal can be quite patchy, and so it's a great way to help you get around. If you're ever lost somewhere that has little signal, such as the City of London, where the skyscrapers often block phone signal, then there are these handy little signs all across London that can help orientate yourself. In the UK, cars drive on the left, and so do be sure to be careful before crossing the road, as you may have to look in ways that you're not used to. Luckily, before you cross the street at lots of busy crossings, it's actually marked on the floor which way to look. Just to be safe, look both ways. The safest way to cross the road is either at the lights that have stopped with the little green man, or alternatively at a zebra crossing. Yeah, another fun way to get around the city is to rent a bike, but I would only recommend doing this if you're comfortable with cycling. I would also say that because helmets aren't actually provided with your rental, to bring your own. Another alternative, if you don't want to use the pedal bikes, is to rent a Lime bike, which is electric. With all this talk about transportation, it's worth noting that like most European cities, the best way to get around London is actually on foot. On a day out in the city, you can end up clocking over 20,000 steps, and so wearing shoes that are comfortable, such as trainers or flat boots, is essential. If it happens to be raining during your stay, then don't worry, because there are still lots of options indoors to entertain you, such as cafes, theatres, cinemas, restaurants, bars, and even covered markets such as this. Many of the best museums in London are completely free to visit. There's the V&A, which is the Victoria and Albert, the Science Museum, the Natural History Museum. I really enjoy smaller museums like the Sir John Soane Museum, and just behind me is probably the most famous of all, the British Museum. When it comes to museums and attractions, check if you can book things in advance. For example, as soon as you've secured your accommodation, you should be looking at reserving theatre tickets, entertainment tickets, things like that. Even free places such as the British Museum now advise you to book a free ticket in advance to secure better waiting times and actually ensure that you can visit the museum at your chosen time. So yeah, that's one of my #1 tips before you visit London. Check things in advance. Even if you forget to book some of the free museums ahead of your trip, don't worry too much, because even though it's half term currently, we managed to make it into the British Museum without waiting for too long, because they actually have a back entrance on Montague Place. Now, you might be wondering, if all of these museums are free, then how do they continue operating? Well, the answer lies in the fact that they have special exhibitions at certain times of the year that they charge for. They also have membership programs, and of course they rely on donations from the public. So donations in many of the boxes around the museums are always appreciated if you can. London has everything from fine dining, Michelin-style experiences to street food trucks, meaning that dining out can be as expensive or as affordable as you like. If you want to try lots of cuisines from all over the world, then I really recommend coming to Borough Market, which is the oldest covered market here in London. If you want to head somewhere specific for lunch or dinner, then you'll probably want to reserve a table in advance, as many places book up completely, especially during school holidays and at weekends. Many of the more popular restaurants, bars and pubs now operate a timed service, and so if you're arriving in a group, you're typically allocated an hour and a half to 2 hours in order to enjoy your meal and drinks before you have to leave for the next group. It is what it is. When visiting restaurants, you can often save money by ordering tap water. This isn't seen as weird or frowned upon, and is a great way to save a few pounds for something else during your London trip. While things like fish and chips might be really popular and obviously one of the national dishes of the UK, don't limit yourself to just British food while you're here. London is one of the most international cities in the world, and as a result, you can find cuisine from all over the world. Everything you can imagine, you can find here. Be sure to check out a pub while you're in the city. There are over 3,500 of them in London, and many date back many centuries. Even if you're not a big drinker, this is a big part of British culture, because many serve soft drinks, hot drinks, and even food. This is also where you'll come for a Sunday roast, if that's something you're interested in doing while in the UK. When you're going to the pub, it's worth noting that there's often no table service. Instead, if you're going in a group, then it's best to find a table, and then one of you goes up to the bar to order any food and drinks that you want. Don't forget to devote some time to exploring London's many parks and gardens. It's actually one of the cities with the most green spaces in the world, and is even considered to be the largest urban park in the world thanks to how many trees there are here. When you're wandering around, be sure to look at the facades of historic buildings, because you'll often see blue plaques, and that signifies that a famous person once lived or worked in that building. My penultimate tip would be try not to pack your London itinerary too much. Instead, give yourself a little bit of time to simply wander around little neighborhoods and explore forgotten side streets. And my final tip is to make sure that you like and subscribe for more UK travel content. We have a lot of London videos coming up soon, and I can't wait to share them with you.